Hi there. This is in review of October the 18th, and I was told to view these as paintings, so of course I do. Powdered concubine dressed in rich silks, feet bound, body soft, lips slack. Views lotus through binoculars, a dragonfly alights on her motionless fan. How do you know when your own life verges on decadence? Certainly when the force of form becomes more important than the force of substance. When etiquette and morals become more important than understanding and righteousness. When procedure becomes more important than creativity. When gratifying your lust becomes more important than giving to others. When patriotism becomes more important than measured governing and enlightened treatment of other nations. When the act of eating becomes more important than the consideration of nutrition. When the opera becomes more important than helping the poor and homeless. When one's own comfort becomes more important than the suffering of loved ones. When ambition becomes more important than benevolence. When prestige becomes more important than charity. When the academy becomes more important than the streets. And when loud expression becomes more important than listening to others. Or when outrageousness becomes more important than communication. When censorship becomes more important than simple acts. And when style becomes more important than function. When books become more important than teachers, and when expediency becomes more important than the elderly. When you smell these things happening, you are not far from decadence. So that was the first half of November the 18th, and this is the second half. Old man, dissent is not disloyalty. Be careful before you retaliate. Your steel wrapped in cotton may only be brittle bone wrapped in fat. No one has supreme authority. People seek leaders and priests and gurus and even hermits, thinking that someone has a precise formula for living correctly, and no one does. No one can know you as well as you know yourself. All that you can gain from a wise person is the assurance of some initial guidance. You may even spend decades studying under an extraordinary person, but you should never surrender your dignity, independence, and personality. There's no single way to do things in life. There are valid paths, even those that differ from the ways of respected elders. Diversity is good for tradition. Too often, elders confuse dissent with disloyalty and punish people for the crime of having a different view. They are no longer in touch, but instead mouth self-serving convention. Perhaps the panic of their own impending death makes them clutch. When leaders become repressive, it is a sign that their time is drawing to a close. A saying about old masters was that they were like steel wrapped in cotton. They appeared soft on the outside, but still held great power on the inside. We all hope for the elders of that. But too often, the old masters have lost their mandate of the knowledge of nature. When tested, they are merely brittle-boned and fat. How can we respect such people? Bye. See you next time.